About a month or two ago, I did a video going through a list of BookTube darlings, and while you likely don't need elaboration as to what I'm referring to when I say that, but just to be clear, when I talk about BookTube darlings, I'm talking about books that are not necessarily mainstream in their popularity, but are really, really well loved and praised here on BookTube a lot. So if you engage with or watch BookTube videos, you likely have heard those books talked about time and time again, and you primarily are going to hear positive things said about those books. And in that video, I was specifically highlighting books that are considered BookTube darlings, but that I don't personally love. And the idea wasn't to try and put those books down. I always, even if I don't love a book, I still try to give recommendations for books I like and books I don't like, because my main goal is to try and help you find books that you'll enjoy. But with that in particular, I was trying to showcase the idea that it's okay when you don't fall into the hype train for certain series. It doesn't mean that you didn't get it. It doesn't mean that you somehow weren't smart enough or you just missed out the themes and what the books were trying to say. You just weren't able to grapple with the severity of the stakes and things like that. It's not any of that. It's just sometimes we have different tastes, and that's okay. And for today, I wanted to do essentially a companion to that, where I'm talking about what would be considered basic book tastes, when there are books that are BookTube darlings and you 100% fall into that camp. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. It's okay to sometimes be on the hype train. It's okay to have a mix of both things in your reading taste. Because I do think there's kind of no winning. Sometimes people make you feel bad for not being a part of something that is considered great and being a part of that fandom. And then other times people make you feel bad if you are, because they'll make it seem like you just don't have any uniqueness in what you value and what you enjoy. So I just, in general, always advocate for reading what you like, broadening your horizons, maybe trying new things, but just always recognizing that it's fine if your tastes don't always align with everyone else's, and then it's also fine if they do align with a lot of other people. So for today, I wanted to go through a list of books that are BookTube darlings that I really enjoy. So first up, we have the Murderbot Diaries. Murderbot was one that I was really unsure how I was going to feel about these. I think it's really difficult to tell a fantastic story through a novella, and then the idea of telling a story through a series of novellas didn't sound appealing to me. I kind of had it on it was in my periphery for a long time as something that I was maybe considering giving a try at some point, but I wasn't in a rush to do so. But once I picked up the first one, I then flew through the rest of them and found they were so fun. I don't know that I love them maybe as much as some people do, because this does have almost like a cult following, but I really enjoy the themes within this, the questions about what does it mean to have a sense of personhood, what does it mean to be your own individual, how do you fit within the world, anxiety, depression, all of those things I think are done really well. And there's like a little pinch of don't people suck that I think is really relatable, and also isn't work annoying? Can't people just get it together so I can get my job done? There's kind of a little bit of that too. So even though it's a futuristic sci-fi story following a murder machine basically, but even calling it that doesn't feel right. But even though that is the general setup, it ends up having so much more to it, a lot of depth, and a lot that I think so many of us in our everyday lives can really connect and relate to. And so I am on the hype train for Murderbot. I really enjoy that series. Next up, just getting this out of the way now, obviously, I'm a huge Cosmere fan. I will say I occasionally have certain opinions that the fandom itself maybe doesn't align with as a whole. For example, I don't love Adolin. I don't love Mistborn Secret History. Those are not the most popular of opinions, but those are just specific opinions within the fandom at large. They're not really hot takes when it comes to, I mean, Sanderson is one of the most prominent voices in science fiction and fantasy, and I'm over here like, yeah, I have a whole playlist of Storm My Archive. I also have a whole playlist of just the Cosmere in general and Sanderson's works, and there's like 100 videos on those playlists. Like, I'm a fan. I absolutely love it. I'm with everybody else. Just so excited for Stormlight 5. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. If you yourself are a Cosmere fan, I do have playlists with a lot of videos, so if you'd like to see discussions, in-depth, going through spoilers, things like that for the various different books in the Cosmere, then I'll have that playlist linked. But I've done so many videos over the years. I've composed music and performed music that is inspired by certain characters. I just love the creativity. I love the magic. I think, though, that the main thing is I love so many of the characters. When I think about characters that are at the top for me, top tier characters across various different genres, it is multiple Sanderson characters that are up there for me. And I know that's true for a lot of other people. There's not a whole lot I can say that's probably all that different from a lot of other Cosmere fans would say. I think a lot of us love the works for similar reasons, and I guess I'm basic. I would love to know if you have any recommendations for books. It doesn't even have to be fantasy, just other stories that you think that the character work is similar to the character work you get in something like Stormlight Archive. Feel free to leave those recommendations. One, I would love that. But two, I'm sure a lot of other people would love to see those recommendations as well. Next up, Octavia Butler. I by no means am well versed in all of Octavia Butler's works, as there are quite a few, and I've only picked up a couple, but I am definitely I'm very much wanting to read more of what she's put out, because I think that she has really impactful stories, very bleak, very gritty, very raw, but they are the kinds of stories that you read and then you sort of look around you, or you look at history and you sort of ask tough questions. You look at how society is now, and then you look at what it could be, and you ask the tough questions. You ask yourself, how do we keep from getting to those places? And I think that she really is very much the catalyst for a lot of important, deeper thoughts that a lot of us sometimes don't even want to tap into. And I think that she sort of forces you to, and I really admire that about her works. Certainly the Cosmere and Octavia Butler's works are things that aren't just popular here on BookTube. They do, especially Octavia Butler's works, I feel like hers sort of are more broader reaching. And so they're not just BookTube darlings. It's not like we love them over here and nobody else does, but they are well loved here on BookTube, and I am in that camp too. Next up is one that I don't think as many people talk about it these days, but it is very much a BookTube darling. In fact, the last two both fit within this really well, where they were loved and talked about constantly for a while, and then I feel like some of the love has died down a little bit, or at the very least, it's just not, we're not as vocal about it. And that would be Six of Crows, that duology by Leigh Bardugo, and then another duology, which would be Strange the Dreamer. Both of these, I think, I mean, I was just talking about great character work. I think both of these have phenomenal character work within them. I think that having an ensemble cast like what you get with Six of Crows, and managing to tap into characters that are all very different from one another, yet they all have their own personal traumas that we explore and do a great job of that. That's not an easy thing to do, especially over the course of only 2 books, and you have a heist story within all of that, and I think that Leigh Bardugo balanced all of that exceptionally. And then in Strange the Dreamer, so whimsical, weird, unique, unlike anything I've read before, and with such phenomenal themes of compassion. How those are executed is still to this day, I think, so incredibly moving, so incredibly powerful, and it's one of those series that I can't wait to reread someday. I can't think of anything quite like it. I think that something like Sanderson's works have definitely had an impact on the genre, and now you're starting to see more books that have the rules and limitations in their magic systems, and even the concept of a magic system is something that I think to some degree has been popularized by Sanderson. But I feel like Laini Taylor is still sort of off in a corner all by herself with how unique and different her work is, but she still has such a beautiful writing style. It's definitely a bit of a niche, and it takes some getting used to, and I'm not somebody who usually likes writing styles that are overly flowery, but she somehow manages to capture amazing, really impactful themes, great character work, and fluttery, pretty, almost nonsensical writing all in one, and it's all masterful, and I love it, and I'm with so many other people in loving it, and I think there's a reason that her work really resonated with so many people. I would love to know, though, what are some books where you feel like you are in the same camp as everybody else in loving here on BookTube. And then if you are interested in that first video I did where I was talking about when you're not part of the hype train, I'll have that linked. Thanks so much for watching though. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.